A massive earthquake knocks you off your feet. There's a blinding flash of light, and then you see a tsunami of lava rising on the horizon. A nuclear reaction has gone off the rails, and Earth's atmosphere is on fire. How long would it be before you exploded into flames? What would happen to our land and oceans? And where could you hide to survive this hellfire? This is What If, and here's what would happen if Earth's atmosphere ignited tomorrow. When you combine two light nuclei to form a single heavier nucleus, you get what we call a fusion reaction. And if these nuclei happen to be isotopes of hydrogen, you'd create the kind of energy that powers the sun and other stars. Today, 6 countries have the recipe to cook up a fusion reaction and make hydrogen bombs. What would happen if a massive bomb like that lit up our atmosphere? Of course, the most destructive element at work in our world is climate change, but thankfully there's a company fighting this threat, so let's thank the sponsor of today's video, Climeworks, for creating the technology we need to preserve our planet. Climeworks uses direct air capture technology to remove carbon dioxide from the air, storing it underground permanently for millennia. And now, this gas can never contribute to global warming again. Now is the time to step up and reverse the damage of climate change. And with Climeworks, I know I can help create a better Earth for my kids and their future. And great news, right now, you can give the gift of carbon dioxide removal to your family and friends for the holiday season. A sustainable, eco-friendly gift that also helps our planet. The first 100 people to use the code WHATIF10 will receive 10% off their first purchase. Act now, because this code is only valid till the end of the year. Head to gift.climeworks.com/whatif to give the gift of carbon dioxide removal this holiday season. Hey, if we clean our air, maybe we can stop this explosion from ever happening. The most efficient reaction is one between two isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. It generates more energy at lower temperatures. But fusion like that needs temperatures of about 100 million degrees. That's about 7 times hotter than the center of the sun. Okay, let's say you managed to create those conditions and line up the exact amount of fuel needed to set the atmosphere on fire. What sort of infernal nightmare would you be in for? First, forget any fire drills you've ever done. This would be the mother of all firestorms. One you can't get away from because, well, the atmosphere is everywhere. Plants, buildings, and people would ignite instantly. If, by some miracle, you didn't, you would see some pretty awesome stuff. At 1510 degrees, steel would begin to melt. Skyscrapers and bridges would ooze molten steel. At 1700 degrees, deserts would melt and sand would turn into glass. You'd lose all oceans entirely as the hydrogen in them would feed the fusion reaction. But taking in the sights and sounds might not be on the top of your mind. Couldn't you just hide deep underground and wait it out? Well, no. At about 1300 degrees, all rock would start to melt. If the ignition lasted long enough, Earth might become a lava world, hot like Mercury. Maybe you're an astronaut exploring a galaxy far, far away while the Earth burned. What would you come back to? A desolate, lifeless world of molten lava is all that would be left. You'd have to get used to living in a radioactive world where you'd sound funny when you speak. That's because with all the hydrogen having fused, Earth's atmosphere would now have helium. But you'd stop laughing soon enough. Your lungs would fill up with helium pretty quickly because it's heavier than oxygen, and then you would choke and die. Luckily, nature runs a very tight ship, and you wouldn't find enough materials on Earth to set the atmosphere on fire. Our oceans only have about 0.16% deuterium, and it was all created during the Big Bang, so it's not exactly renewable. Protium is a lot easier to find, but needs impossibly higher temperatures to fuse. That leaves you with a choice between going on an extraterrestrial bounty hunt for more deuterium or coaxing protium to defy the laws of physics. I mean, unless of course you find a way to boil the oceans to 100 million degrees. Besides, you wouldn't want to launch nuclear weapons all over the planet to perform this dangerous experiment. That might just set off World War III. And what happens then? Well, that's a story for another What If.